Hey guys, Ronin here. Welcome on back to the Retrocade. It is Sunday, and that can only mean one thing. It is time for another Suckerpunch Sunday. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Otherwise, hit the like button and ring the bell to be notified of the latest content. Also, follow us on Twitter at @RetroCade. And if there's a game you'd like to see us feature across the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th generations, from 1984 to 2010, leave it down below or drop me a tweet. Your options, as always, are from the Nintendo Entertainment System, Super Nintendo Entertainment System, Sega Master System, Sega Genesis, SNK Neo-Geo, Nintendo 64, PlayStation 1, or PlayStation 2. And for this Suckerpunch Sunday, I decided we'd go back to the 1990s SNK Neo-Geo and play a game that I discovered much later in its history than I realized, and that is a fighting game known, and you can't read it based on the fact that it is in Japanese, but it's called The Last Blade. So I'm going to stock us up on some coins here, and before I get too far into it, you'll see that it is actually released in 1997 by SNK, which, as I explained in our previous venture on the Neo Geo, means this came out at the very, very, very tail end of its lifespan. And the reason why I discovered it was actually not because of finding it in an arcade, but of all things because my sister found it way back in the day when we first got into doing emulating, and realized it was one that we could play as a co-op game. So we've been playing it ever since. They did do a sequel called The Last Blade 2, which came out the following year in 1998. But this was one of the last titles that came out for the Neo Geo. It was actually listed as the successor for Samurai Shodown, which was its first really highly publicized fighting franchise, along with King of Fighters. Actually, Samurai Shodown, as I know it, made a bigger splash in the US than King of Fighters did. And I only know that because when I was first relocating out to the Pacific Northwest in the early 90s, the convenience store that I would often frequent in my neighborhood had an SNK Neo-Geo cabinet in it, and it had Samurai Shodown 1, and it also had World Heroes, which is a fairly juvenile, mediocre fighting game, not nearly on par with Street Fighter 2 or even Mortal Kombat, but Samurai Shodown was the game. So what we're going to do is we're going to play this for about a half an hour. And as you can see, it's a pretty straightforward game. You have your A, B, C, and D button. Remember, the SNK Neo Geo controller had 4 buttons, not the usual 3. And it also had a joystick, because this system was designed for fighting games. But the great thing about this game was, as you can see in this little quick tutorial, you can stack moves. You can also parry, and you can sidestep attackers. And you have 12 characters to choose from of all different disciplines, so I'm just going to go ahead and pick me this one. And you can go by speed or power. And I will go with power for this one. And again, if you are familiar with your fighting games at all, you know that the mechanics are pretty damn similar. But what I like about this game is the free-flowing connectedness of it. And they got a lot of it right with Samurai Shodown, obviously. Ow. This was also one of the first games that had a double layer life bar that I ever played. I don't know when specifically that came out, but let me pause here really quick. So when I say a double layer life bar, if you look up at the top, you see you've got that wave design. When that runs down to the end, you get a secondary layer underneath it, so it gives you a little bit longer to try and get back into a fight if you're getting your butt handed to you, which it's not hard to do in this game. And playing is Kaide, the main protagonist in this series. His name actually translates in Japanese to Maple. His moveset is like any other generic protagonist in the game. It's pretty straightforward. There's not a whole lot of flash to it, but the fun is in the diversity of the other characters. But you also have this power bar that's down below that lets you, when you max it out, if you can get the controls in right, it's like a lot of what you saw in Super Street Fighter 2 and the later Street Fighter 2 variations, where you got those ultimate combos that really, really just lay the wood to somebody and can really be cool if you pull it off. The trick is, you got to know the combination, you got to be able to pull it off. So but again, the Neo-Geo being a 24-bit system, and for what it was at the time, extremely expensive. Remember, in 1990, when this system came out, it was $700 US. Perfect! And the cell shading on this game, just the way the art was done, it never gets old for me. And that's part of the reason why I like going back and playing SNK Neo-Geo games and getting these sorts of opportunities to revisit this stuff. Oh, now we got Juzo with his big old iron bat. Now, that what I just did there is the parry option, which, if again, you got to time it right and you got to know when to do it. And if you can, it can really save you in a pinch. Oh, nice throw. Hassan Chop. So you got me with one hit. But even 25 years later, this game is still one of the more visually appealing fighting games I've played. It's not to suggest that other fighting games didn't measure up, but taking full advantage of the 24-bit graphic capability and the one-to-one fidelity you could get with the SNK, they didn't scrimp on that. And I love the fact that they were able to keep that up and maintain it over the entire run of the Neo-Geo. Last Blade 2 actually did come out for PlayStation 2. They did a compilation that was only released in Japan back in 2006. So there would be a way to get it, and I know it was available on the PlayStation Store for a little while. But part of what I liked about this game is also that they were able to incorporate these characters into the crossover titles they did with Capcom. So Capcom vs. SNK 2, which is a game that I have talked much about, and at some point I will play it here. Ow. They had a couple of characters from Last Blade 2 get into Capcom vs. SNK 2. Ow. See, but it's never a guarantee in this game that you're just going to, blast your way through everybody. Uh-oh. So she's activated her speed meter, and just like that, I am toast. So Akari takes me down. I was able to get the parry off, but that's about it. Ow! Quit spitting her out. But if you can learn how to stack moves in this game, you can become truly lethal. Oh, and she got me with the mid-air kick. So I just got whooped by a 14-year-old girl. And Okina is actually the one who's been considered the most... she's been utilized the most in other SNK fighting games and other crossover games, although she was never in Capcom vs. SNK or Capcom vs. SNK 2 that I remember. Because they had to incorporate other characters from Street Fighter 2 and... not Last Blade 2, obviously, but also Samurai Showdown. King of Fighters has a ton of characters in that game. Well, let's change it up here a little bit. So we'll go with Zansetsu. See if we can do any better against Okina with Zansetsu. Ow. But the faster you can get your hits off, the faster you can crank that meter up. Oh. And just like that, she is down. Now, one of the things that I don't believe is in a mechanic in this game is a limited amount of times you can block. In later fighting games, you had a stamina bar that made it a little bit easier for... Oh, it's like a fragged where they both screen lag and the electro ball. But, ow. Alright. In latter, like I was saying, in latter games, they put a bit of a stamina quotient on most characters, so you could not spend the whole time blocking. Down she goes. I don't believe they put that in Last Blade 1, and I think they might have put it in Last Blade 2. You foolish wench. Oh, now I gotta fight the old man with the fishing pole. Is it Okina? And those turtles may look harmless, but they're like Koopa shells in Mario Kart. You don't want to get hit by them. I think he might just be totally overmatched here. I won't say that until I put him away, though. Not very often you can bust a 4-hit combo off. But see, again, if you can get the parry timing right... Quit it. I got with you and your Koopa shells. Be gone with you. Ooh, and I sliced him in two. That was a carryover from Samurai Showdown, where if you got a lethal attack, rather than giving you the standard issue fatalities that you would see in Mortal Kombat, they made it a little bit more humane, I guess, for lack of a better term, in that you would see your opponent being cleft in twain, obviously, and you get the red spurt of blood, but you didn't get all the viscera that came along with it. But when this game came out in the arcades in 1998, in Japan, it was listed as the most popular arcade game of the time. And the Neo-Geo version only sold... It sold less than 25,000 copies in its first week. Which, by modern standards, people think that's, you know, that's nothing really to get all in a... overjoyed about. Ow. Man, Suzuka just took me apart. That was not even remotely fun. And again, Suzuka being an old-fashioned samurai, he is built for power. This guy is a tank. Oh, and he stabbed me while I'm down. How very un-Bushido of him. Talk about out of style. Oh, okay. Alright, let's try somebody else here. Alright, we'll give her a whirl. Ow. Man, this is getting ugly fast. There we go. And he caught me on the upswing. Now, unfortunately, I can't get him in time to hit. He comes through with that shot. Man, I'm getting pole-axed here, and I have a pole-axe. I don't think that's legal in 12 states, what he just did. Man, that was absolutely vicious. Wow. I don't know how well that message would go over nowadays. Alright. See if we can do it with a samurai of our own. We'll try Maria. Not much better. There we go. Finally get a parry off. slaps me down with a throw. My God. Oh, I'm getting torched here. And unlike Street Fighter, I mean, again, it's all about pattern recognition and knowing what your opponent is going to do, but with how much faster everybody goes in this game, you really just got to pick away at a guy like this. And then he still comes through and waylays you with that sort of attack. Oh, that would have been nice to have been able to get him with that slice. And he still takes me out. Alright, well, if you can't beat him, join him. See if I can get him in his own game, but this time using speed instead of power. And I'm still getting my butt handed to me. Wow. You stack the moves, man, and you just cannot do anything about it. He's definitely got me at a disadvantage because it's not simply a matter of, there we go, I finally get that whirlwind slash off, but getting that rapid slash didn't help me either. And good night, nurse. Down and out. Imposters are for erasing. So even when you try and go at them with your own character, it's one of, what are you going to do here? So let me double check this before I do one more fight, because I want to make sure I have everything I need to know. Which I should have done earlier, I understand, but still. So let me see here. And the nice thing is that there are so many different wikis and things you can go to nowadays to find different options to be able to take down or to figure out how characters work. Ow. Alright, making some good headway here. Oh! Ow! Still gets you the stab in on the way down. Oh! Well, I got closer, but still not close enough. Still need to be able to get that fire shot off. This may not end well. Nope. And down I go again. So, well, I think after, what, 4 consecutive wipeouts at the hands of this guy, I think I've done all the damage I can do here. So that, guys, in a nutshell, is Last Blade #1 for the SNK Neo-Geo. Hope you enjoyed that. If you did, hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Be sure to ring the bell for the latest content. Don't forget, we go back to our Final Fantasy VI walkthrough on Monday. We do 2 episodes a day, 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We also had our Sports Saturday feature yesterday where we played in honor of the ongoing NCAA men's basketball tournament. We played March Madness 2000 for the PlayStation 1. I got my record up over to 500, in fact, so I'm at 3-2 in that particular series, which is a far better situation than I am currently on Suckerpunch Sunday. So, again, follow us on Twitter at @Retrocade. If there's a game you'd like to see us feature from the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th generation of consoles, that's the Neo-Geo, Nintendo Entertainment System, Super Nintendo, Sega Master System, Sega Genesis, Neo-Geo, Nintendo 64, PlayStation 1, or PlayStation 2. Leave it in the comments below or drop me a tweet. As always, my name's Ronin. Have a great rest of your weekend. I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye.